change phones like underwear sometimes. Yeah. Okay, not like underwear, but you know what I mean. That people get new phones on a regular basis, like people lease cars or something like that. Like I get that, and when you're rich and whatever, you probably do it on a faster, smaller period of time than a normal person would. Sure, okay, I can even get that. Like, yeah, that Tom Brady every 3 to 6 months throws his old cell phone out and gets a brand new one. Okay, sure, I can handle that. But when you do that, you take the SIM card out of the phone so that you don't lose every contact that you have and all your information and files and everything like that. And then you just put that in your new phone and then you use the new device. Tom, you don't destroy the phone and the SIM card. Unless there's, yeah, I don't know, maybe some kind of incriminating evidence on there that would prove you guilty in an ongoing current investigation that you're involved in. I mean, it doesn't take Kermit the Frog here to figure this one out. I mean, what? I'm sorry, but Tom Brady, you are an arrogant idiot. And the only way that this works out for Tom Brady, and if it doesn't work out this way, then both he and the people who have been in his ears are idiots. Because this had to be their plan the whole time. They had to know that it was going to go this far and get to this point where all else fails, we will be able to take it to federal court last resort, and we will be able to get an overturn based off of process, procedural technicalities. That's the only way this works out for Tom Brady at all. If Tom Brady would have just said what I told him to say months ago, look it up on Spreaker or the on-demand library on SoundCloud and YouTube and everywhere that Balls Deep is on. Look up the episode with Brady's soft balls as the opening topic. I told him then, that's all you had to do. Say, yeah, I like the balls a little bit on the underinflated side within the rules. I told him to take some air out. It was super cold. I think that with them taking the air out made it under the rules. It wasn't in my intent, but it happened, and I'm extremely sorry. And I'll do everything within my power to make sure that if I ever notice a football that I'm playing with that I think might be, outside of the PSI air pressure rules for the ball, I will immediately bring it to an official instead of just continuing to play with it. Boom! Like, he might have got the whole suspension taken away if he would have did that. 1 game maximum. But no, he's saying, I'm going to get away with the whole thing. They're not going to take one thing away from me. The risk in that is if it does get upheld, or depending on how much of it gets upheld, that suspension isn't going to take place in the first 4 weeks, or the first 2 weeks, or whatever it ends up being. It's going to take place in the middle of the season, in November, December, January maybe even. Who knows how long the court, process will last. So that could take him away from his team when they are in a playoff run, as opposed to just at the beginning of the season where they've got at least 2 out of their first 4 games are pretty much guaranteed wins anyway. They got a light schedule to start off with. They got the Steelers without Le'Veon Bell, whose suspension got reduced from 3 games to 2, by the way. And then they've got the Bills and the Jaguars and a bye. Cowboys are their 4th game after the bye. So they got 1, maybe 2 losses in there. At least 2 wins. Like, take your 4-game suspension. It's in the past, whatever. Screw the NFL screwed me over, but I'm Tom Brady and I'll take it like a man, whatever. You could have played that card, it would have worked out better even right now. But nope. Just continuing down the I am immeasurably arrogant and stupid, and so are the people that I'm listening to. So I really hope that Brady's balls that aren't firm enough just one of these days here really explode in his face, and I hope the shrapnel, uh, you know, hits those around him that have encouraged him to go down the path he's chosen with this issue. But all right, that's it. Balls on Fire is out. All right, we got to get on with the show. We'll probably have a mini meet here, or maybe a couple multiple mini meets, plenty of balls juice, a quickie or two, and Balls Deep thought of the day. Thank you so much for listening. Again, this is Balls Deep Sports Talk with your host Scotty Ball, and we're coming to you on WNLMradio.com. Also, you might be listening on the Spreaker app, the TuneIn app, SoundCloud, or YouTube. And if you listen on any of those, please make sure to like and heart the show so that within the next week or two, we can be coming to you on iHeartRadio. Oh, wow, I just realized something. I went through a whole hour and 6 minutes here without mentioning this, and that's not good. Shame on me, Scotty Ball. But if you are on Twitter, well, first off, if you're not on Twitter, get on Twitter, for crying out loud. It's 2015. But if you're on Twitter, please make sure to follow the show at BDST Show. B for balls, D for deep, S for sports, and T for talk. Then show for show. BDST Show on Twitter. That's the show's Twitter handle. Please follow it. It's a great way to stay connected with the show, to interact with me personally, and to stay informed every day via Scotty Ball on current sports happenings, and also get my live tweetings during WWE events. It's always fun to live tweet during Raw and pay-per-views, or at least I enjoy it as a WWE fan. And also, if Facebook maybe is more your thing, you can friend me on Facebook at Scotty-Ball. And once you do that, please make sure to visit my public figure page and like and save that, and that is also under the name Scotty-Ball. Alright, so since, as I said, the Balls on Fire segment was very meat-sized this week, we're going to try and just give you multiple modest meats here for this week's meat segment. We'll start off with Major League Baseball. The trade deadline is very fastly approaching. The big trade that happened earlier this week involved the Colorado Rockies and the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, if you listened to last week's show, you will note that I singled out the Blue Jays as a team that I was keeping an eye on, expected to be a big buyer in this trade deadline, as they're 8 games out of first place in a very winnable division. Only a few games out of a wild card spot, yet they have the second best run differential in all of baseball. So they have a much better team than their record suggests. I felt that suggested they would get pitching primarily, which they did acquire in LaTroy Hawkins in their bullpen. Twins fans will know who LaTroy Hawkins is from way back in the day, but their big trade involved swapping shortstops with the Colorado Rockies, where they traded their shortstop, Jose Reyes, the second highest paid shortstop in all of baseball, to the Colorado Rockies for Troy Tulowitzki, the highest paid shortstop in all of baseball. So, boy, you got Tulowitzki and Encarnacion and Batista, and man, they got no shortage of bats there whatsoever. And they, like I said, they did acquire a little bit of pitching. Look for them to acquire some more pitching yet before the trade deadline is done, and they are very much making a big push for the wild card spot, at the least one of the 2 wild card spots, if not reclaiming the AL East from the first place New York Yankees, who are kind of at the moment surging and head and shoulders above the rest of the division. You've got the Yankees at 57 and 42, and then the Orioles, Rays, and Blue Jays are 7 games, 8 games, and 8 games behind respectively, all at approximately 500. And then the Red Sox, the lone significantly sub 500 team, and out of contention with 14 games back. So look for them maybe to continue to sell here before the trade deadline. But the Orioles and Blue Jays, the Blue Jays especially, are looking to be buyers. Yankees are staying the course. And then in the AL Central, we've got the Royals making a few trades as well. Nothing too terribly big, but still making trades to bolster their current first place roster and try and return back to the World Series for a second straight year in attempts to win it. You've got the Twins in second place at 52-47, 8.5 games back. They are currently in possession of the second wild card spot. However, we've got the White Sox starting to improve a little bit at just 2 games under 500. We've got the Tigers dropping to 3 games below 500 and in fourth place in the division. Look for them to possibly sell a big name here before the trade deadline as well. And then you've got the Indians just struggling to sustain any kind of momentum at any point in the season whatsoever in the cellar of the Central at 46-54, 15 games behind the first place Royals. And then out west we've got the newly first placed Los Angeles Astros, who are, well, technically they're currently tied with the Angels, The Los Angeles Angels are currently tied with the Houston Astros for first place in the AL West. The Houston Astros have surprisingly occupied first place in that division for pretty much the entire season. However, the Astros have been coming back down to earth, pun intended, a little bit more as of late, going into the All-Star break and coming out of the All-Star break, whereas the Angels have been surging the entire time since prior to the All-Star break. So look for that. That could continue to be a great race. You've got the Rangers trying to hang on. They are currently 8 games back. So very, very likely that at least two teams will come out of the AL West, being the Angels and the Astros, one winning the division, one being the wild card. Then the big question being who will get the other wild card, and almost every team is in it. You got the Mariners and Athletics both at the bottom of the AL West, 10 games back and 11 games back, respectively. You know, in all reality, with the Twins at 52-47, every team in the AL has a shot at that second wild card spot, with exception to the Boston Red Sox and maybe the Athletics or Mariners. Everybody else is still very mathematically in it. And those teams are even as well, should they find some way to get hot. All right, now over in the National League, Cardinals still locking it down at 64-36. However, you've got the Pirates surging at 58-41. They are clicking. They're only 5.5 games back. They have the second best record in the National League, and currently they would have to win a 1-game play-in wildcard game to make the actual real baseball playoffs. Amazing. Crazy. You got to feel bad for them. If the Pirates at 58-41, 5.5 games out of first, second place in their division. If they were in the NL West, they would be in first place. If they were in the NL East, they would be in first place. If they were in the AL West, they would be in first place. If they were in the AL Central, they would be in second behind the Royals. And if they were in the East, they would be in first place. So there are only 2 divisions in baseball that the Pirates would not be currently in first place in. Unfortunately for them, they are in one of them. You've got the Cubs at 52-47. They are on a bit of a downschneid, but still time to turn that around, and they are a young, rebuilding team with great talent, great potential. But I've said from all along, unless you believe in the psychic powers of the Back to the Future movie, there's no reason to believe that this year is the year of the Cubs. But next year or the following year after that, definitely look for the Cubs to be a championship contender. Should Theo Epstein continue to be able to build that team the way he sees, and the pieces stay healthy. And then you've got the Reds and the Brewers both tied, battling for the basement and irrelevancy at the bottom of the NL Central. Over in the NL West, we've got the Dodgers holding on to first place by a half a game over the San Francisco Giants. So look for both of those teams to oh boy, man, one of those teams could miss. No, you look for the Pirates and then either the Dodgers or the Giants to be the 2 wild cards. And then, boy, so the NL East is going to be, you better win it or you're not in the playoffs. But anyway, finishing out the NL West, we got the Diamondbacks, Padres, both 7 and 8.5 games back, respectively. Look for the Diamonds and Padres to maybe sell a few players here before the trade deadline as well. And then the Rockies, as we mentioned earlier, in the basement at 43 and 55, already selling their biggest name player in Troy Tulowitzki to the Toronto Blue Jays. However, they did get a pretty big name player in return